Our favorite Italian vintage streamer, True Hero, has come up with a new version of Blue White Initiative. Okay, welcome back, vintage gamers. I am very glad you enjoyed the last video where I did a re-recording of an off-stream LCQ. I'm really glad you enjoyed it because those videos take about at least twice as much effort and twice as much time because I have to play all the matches and then re-record over them. I don't expect I will be doing a ton of those in the future, but if I do ever end up with high stakes magic where I am going to record off stream, like a mock showcase qualifier, I would do that for those. But we're back to our normal scheduled content here with a Wednesday night stream, though we do have a bit of a better deck than a normal Wednesday night stream. One of the things I like to do on this channel, now that I haven't done donation deck lists in a while, but what I tell people is if you want to see your deck played on the channel, all you have to do is win with it. And we have a deck list here that has been doing some amount of winning. It's not clear yet if that amount of winning is because of the deck list or because the creator is a very powerful wizard, which I'm a big True Hero fan. So this is True Hero Marco's Blue-White Initiative. This is not a new deck, I would say, because Marco and his team over in Italy put together what was at the time called Initiative Tinker, is what we called it in the data set. This was maybe 2 years ago now, maybe a year and a half ago. There was a Blue-White Initiative Tinker deck that I wasn't a huge fan of. Perfectly straight up, and it kind of grew on me over time, but there were still various pain points in the deck that I didn't really like. And when I saw this list from Marco, I was really excited because it actually addressed a bunch of the things that I was really clamoring over, and I think it introduces some nice new and exciting aspects to it with Quantum Riddler and Consign to Memory in the main. And it does some really good things. And I mean, over the course of Initiative Tinker's existence, Tinker was dropped from Initiative Tinker. And so that's why we're just going to call it Blue-White Initiative at this point. But True Hero, very powerful wizard, got a top 8 of a challenge into a qualification for the mocks with a 5-0 and an LCQ. Bunch of players have copied the deck since then to not as strong results, except Pugface was able to go, I believe, 4-0 plus Scoop into an LCQ bid as well. So some strong early results, and I like to highlight decks that do well and decks that have staying power. And one of the things that this deck does is something that I've been trying to push on the format for a while, and that's a blue non-Lurrus deck, because I believe that you can build any style of deck in Vintage with or without Lurrus. This is very much apparent in all of the decks we've seen so far in Vintage that have split their player base by Lurrus and non-Lurrus. What am I talking about? Well, Doomsday, you can play the Lurrus version of Doomsday with Psychic Frog, or you can play the Street Wraith version and be a little bit more combo-oriented. And the cool thing is both of those are viable decks, and both of those have different matchup spreads. The more controlling version is going to make you better against Frog, but worse against the field, whereas the more combo-oriented version is great against the field and abysmal versus Frog. And this trend appears for all kinds of decks. PO, you can play Lurrus or you can play Tinker, and those decks have different matchup spreads. Breach, Lurrus, Tinker, all of these decks can do that. And one thing we haven't seen a lot of controlling mid-range style decks akin to Lurrus Frog without Lurrus. And you'll see a lot of people clamoring for Monastery Mentor unrestrictions, Narset unrestrictions to kind of push players towards those decks. And I think those would be reasonable things to do. But I also believe that these kind of decks can and do exist as playable decks right now. And there just aren't people championing them. And so I'm really happy that Marco is championing this version here. It actually looks, and I think will play fairly similar to the Quantum Riddler blue-white decks that I've played in the past, with one major exception, and we'll talk about that. And so what is this deck doing that's different from, say, my Quantum Riddler brews? It's going for what we call a big blue mana base. So we have the full 5 Moxen, Mana Crypt, and Soul Ring. This is like the classic big blue mana base that's like minimalist. Nothing outside of the most powerful versions of these cards, like no Mana Vault, which is more artifact and combo oriented. Just Moxen, Mana Crypt, and Soul Ring. And what are we going to do with our big blue mana base here? We're going to cast some spells you wouldn't actually see in a Lurrus deck ahead of curve. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a set of 5 initiative creatures. I think that makes a lot of sense. Initiative is one of the more powerful ways you can clock your opponent. This is kind of, in my opinion, just like a speed card. This is a card that's going to close a game very quickly. And it's actually one of the reasons it's very hard to play an aggro Lurrus deck, because the hate bears you need to make, say, the mono black list that we played previously work are always going to be outpaced by the very high power initiative cards that come out fast with Moxen. So we get to surround our fast clock of initiative and mentor with a lot of powerful blue cards, and we're going to control the game using our 6 forces. We have a Daze, and we have these Consigns, and we have Swords to Plowshares. We don't have a full Wasteland sweep, but we have almost half a Wasteland sweep. And so I like the fact that we were able to fill out our blue count, because one of the harder things to do when you play a full Moxen mana base and you play a bunch of non-blue threats is to fill out your blue count for forces. And here we're looking at 12, 15, 19, 24, 28, like a super high blue count. This is a great blue count. And what we're doing with our blue count here is we're playing some Lorien Revealeds for mana, which makes perfect sense to me. A blue card that pitches the Force of Will that also buffs out our mana so we can play our 3-drops very strong. And then we're going to fill out our cantrip base with Ponders and Quantum Riddlers. Quantum Riddler is another card I really enjoy. The fact that it's a versatile, both a threat and a force pitch and a cantrip, not only a cantrip, but a cantrip that can refill your hand after you play a bunch of mana rocks is quite powerful. And that also allows us to get more value out of main deck Consign. I think main deck Consign has a lot of versatility across the format right now. I wouldn't say like you can just, I wouldn't completely recommend playing main deck Consign with no other synergies, but when you have synergies like, the consigning the warp trigger, I think that makes it quite a powerful choice to be in your main deck. And like, well, a spot, these would probably be Spell Pierces if we weren't playing Riddler Consign. Lavinia is a card that I'm not a super huge fan of, just because it's hard to cast ahead of curve and well, but like if there's ever a deck that wants to play Lavinia, this is the deck. I have really no problem with including Lavinia, even if it's not a card I am super thrilled about. I am a little worried about this Daze, just because we have Caracas, Plains, Academy, Saga, Strip, Waste, but it's a one of Daze. It's never like, it's never going to be terrible. So like the floor on this is always going to be high enough that it's not going to be a huge deal. But this is a card I would be interested in keeping an eye on across the event. Narset is a card I'm a little worried about as well, mostly because blue casting costs can be prohibitive, especially with off-color Moxen and that kind of mana base. We'll keep an eye on that as well. We are going to leverage our big blue mana base to play some larger threats post board. And this is where things get really interesting, because you can leverage some of the elements of mono white initiative in terms of hate bears, or you can like continue along with our ideas in the counter magic space. So what do we have in our sideboard? We have 1 Tabernacle. I usually like to play 2 Tabernacles if I'm not playing a Demonic Tutor. But one of the ways we lose to Dredge is going to be them going super wide, so it makes sense that there's a Tabernacle here. We're playing 2 Null Rods, as well as no Clarion Conquerors in this version. I've seen Clarion Conquerors in a previous version. You might be thinking, well, it's kind of rough for us to be playing Null Rod if we have this many artifacts. But the decks that lose to Null Rod in Vintage, and I'm not saying Lurrus PO, I'm talking Raker Shops, Jewel Shops. These like turbo artifact decks are going to be much more inhibited by Null Rod than we are. And so I actually don't really, this is something that actually grew on me a lot. I wrote a big post about it at the time, because I was, I think I was unkind to the Italian team when I initially saw Null Rods in there. To be fair, their list did have Tinker at the time. But those Initiative Tinker, in the original Initiative Tinker lists, they had Null Rods because Jewel was a pretty big portion of the metagame. And it took me a little while to fully understand how, it's just Jewel was so weak to Null Rod that having your own Moxen and your big blue deck turned off was not actually very bad. I think it's a good story because it's, showing a space where you can be wrong and then change your mind with some more information. And I think that's important that we all do that as Magic players. We have other interesting things here. We have Deafening Silence, Archon of Emeria. So if we ever want to like push ourselves against those combo decks into being more, these are really strong hate pieces. And so we can bring these in against those decks and really shut them down while we're still, able to do our one counterspell a turn plus our big threats. So I think it works pretty well. Archon of Absolution is an interesting one. I think this is going to be more of our it's a sideboard slot that is good against mono white because you're a pro white flying creature and taxing your opponent's attackers, but it's also good against dredge, as it means your dredge opponent can't attack you either. So it's an interesting hybrid slot in your sideboard where you get to hit mono white and dredge. Containment Priest, that's for Oath and Dredge. We have our 4 swords, of course, with only 3 in the main, and some Mindbreak Traps. I think Mindbreak Traps are quite good right now. I would not be leaving home without Mindbreak Traps. So if I were to look at this deck and think about where our deck is going to maybe have a problem, I don't think our Frog matchup will be a problem. I kind of think our Frog matchup might make some sense here. We can maybe go over the top of Frog with Riddler and White Plume Richer. I think I like this deck in theory against Frog. Where I'm a little concerned is Lurrus PO. I don't know that we go over the top of Lurrus PO. And I remember when I used to play versus Blue-White Tinker with Lurrus PO in the past, I was very happy with that kind of matchup, though it is sometimes hard to board for because you don't exactly know which cards are coming in creature-wise, how many swords you're supposed to keep in. But the fact that you get to play main deck Flame now, which always answers any problem permanence for the most part, except for like a buffed-up Seasoned Engineer. I guess to prepare, I guess it doesn't answer a Quantum Riddler. So like, are you as a Lurrus PO player bringing in Pyroblasts? I don't know. We're gonna do a lot of learning tonight. I think it's very important to play the decks other people play when you're trying to expand and make yourself better in a format, because you want to know where the pain points in their deck are from their side. And once you know how your opponent's deck operates, then it's easy for you to exploit that when you're playing against it. So very important to play the decks and the other decks in the format. Lurrus PO is a nightmare. I figured that'd be the case, but that's not like a deal breaker or anything. Every deck in Vintage has some kind of polarizing matchup. Even like Lurrus PO is a really bad dredge matchup, right? So I think it's good to objectively think about what are our strengths and our weaknesses. How can we minimize those, and how can we expand on our strengths? And I really think I'm excited to play this and see how it goes versus the format in this Vintage League. I'll see you in round 1. I am happy to announce the dates for high-stakes, proxy-friendly Vintage in 2026. The legendary NYSE returns to Long Island in New York on June 6th. This $500 entry fee tournament will pay out 8 pieces of unlimited power. The Oklahoma Land Run returns in 2026 on July 10th through 12th at the Reed Convention Center in Oklahoma City. Play Friday Team Trios, Saturday Legacy for a Mox Sapphire, and Sunday Vintage for a Mox Emerald. Event links can be found in the description below. I hope to see you there. Let's battle. Here we go. Round 1 of our Vintage League with Blue-White Initiative, is what we're calling it. I'm up against a Wep who is on a Lurrus, and we have 2 fetches, nice mana, nice counters. Obviously, counters get a little worse depending on what version of Lurrus we're playing against. But I can't imagine ever really putting this back. We could always try to scam in a Quantum Riddler as well. Underground Sea Emerald indicates a stock-up deck. Ancestral or no? Ancestral. This is what I'm talking about, though. Like, if we force this, draw a blue card, force something else, and, like, play land, Soul Ring, and then, like, Quantum Riddler and get our mana back. What I'm considering right now is, like, what I want to pitch this force, because I do think I want to force this. I'm just kind of worried that, like, if I were to pitch Negation, which I think is the card that stands out the most to me right now, then if they play stock up, am I like super unhappy? Maybe. I don't feel like I need to play like if they're all combo deck, I don't feel like I need to like consign a Riddler and play early. So I don't really value that as much. I value the body of Riddler much more in like the mono white initiative matchup or something like that. I'm gonna try force pitching consign, but I could be convinced that negation is a better pitch. So I really want to draw like a blue card there so that I could theoretically have negation up and then on my next turn get the extra value from Riddler. But I don't think I'm going to play around Wasteland after seeing Underground Sea Emerald, but I could always get punished for that as well. Mentor is an interesting card because it hasn't been performing well lately, even like in the decks it historically was good in, like Tinker decks, to the point where sometimes okay, so Breach, okay. So definitely the fetch is good. Negation is okay. The problem, this is a rough one. The problem is, oh, if I run into Mana Drain here, it is really, really bad for me. There's no Meticulous Archive in this deck, right? I think that makes sense to me. But could go either way. So the problem is, I assume warp means if I warp this and they drain it, it's 5, I assume. Not a good outcome either. What are our counter spells for drain? Nothing. We have no Flusterstorm, no Spell Pierce. We have Dazed and Negation. We might just have like no liberty to play around it at all. Like just waiting here help us. I feel like it's a super bad spot. I'm gonna try waiting and seeing how that goes, but I'm not really sure. Sewers, so it might be the Discover End version. Kept it on top. I'd love to fetch a Meticulous Archive here. Am I happy if I get a land drop? Not particularly. Do I have Brainstorm in my deck? Is another question. No brains. Oh, there is Brainstorm. Okay, this fetch is bad then. I should definitely not fetch if I have a Brainstorm in my deck. I've been playing a lot of decks that don't have Brainstorm. All right, I mean, this at least gives us something to do with our mentor if it does resolve. I don't know that waiting is helping us where my opponent is like surveilling to the top and that kind of thing. Yeah. The problem is this Swords is always dead, so it might be hard to trigger Riddler. That's just like a matchup issue. Pretty sure I'm looking to pitch this Ponder to negation off of whatever they drain, like if they drain into a stock up or a gifts. But it's kind of a bad spot regardless. Like if they gifts, they can actually like hard cast negation and could protect it too. Drain is like pretty good against these kind of decks. A little bit on the like bigger mana, clunkier side. The problem is, if I draw like a spell, like a force, then... So this is exactly what I said, negation, pitching. Okay. Like if I draw a force, then I can't even get my extra card from Riddler. If I draw a land, I can hardcast Riddler, though. That'd be kind of interesting. I feel like I'm just bringing the wrong tool here. All right. Does that no land drop? It's probably not a good sign. See, this is the exact problem I was thought. This is the exact problem. This Swords, man. This is the cost of playing removal versus a format that has a lot of creatures, and the power of playing the Breach deck with no creatures in it. Stranding removal in game 1. I think I just have to cantrip my Riddler. I feel like I'm not really advancing here. Unless I'm cantripping this. I mean, I could convert the swords into a new card, but then I'd lose access to my Riddler. Is that something I want to do? I could. I don't think that's something I want to do, but it got forced? That's not good. What they pitch to it? Trap. Okay. I mean, we are a little bit outclassed in this game where our opponent cast Ancestral Recall and then drained our 3-drop. Not great. A braid on my Soul Ring. Yeah, so this is the Discover End version of Drain Gift. It's a little bit more well-rounded, but a little less powerful than the Sean version. I don't think there's any reason not to play this. The good news is we can still play an initiative creature, and I think initiative creatures are quite good if you resolve them against this deck that doesn't have like a great deal of removal. The problem is we have the Swords to Plowshares, so that we can't even... Well, they might play a Lurrus for us to hit. So to say, we can't hit like a stock up or a gifts or anything. There's our initiative creature. We do have both of our basics still in our deck. I guess I'll get a Plains so that I can Swords to Lurrus. Oh, I got forced again. Very reactive hand. It's a very reactive deck, to be fair. Force pitching Lorian. So their hand is Lurrus +1. And they have nothing to bring back with Lurrus. Still playable game. The things I'm like more worried about here is our stock ups and gifts. Okay, they have one other card left in their hand. No Surveil lands left. I'm just gonna do this now, where they can untap and have 5 mana force. Not that that's very likely, but what is this? What could possibly counter this? Mental misstep. Yeah, I think I have life total to work with here and a lot of creatures in my deck, so having force for like possible gifts top deck is more important than removing their 3/2 lifelinker that has no other abilities. And we still have, even with a braid on our Soul Ring, we still have enough mana to play most of our stuff. Saga's a great draw. Saga's a great draw here. I feel like Saga on turn 8 is like peak Saga. All right. Close. It's close. White Plume. Awkward as hell, huh? We had a Soul Ring here. We'd be cooking. This is just going to have to be Saga tokens. Do we have a Vexing Bauble in this deck? I assume so, right? No, we have no Vexing Bauble. Interesting. I mean, we are a 6/4 deck and a full Moxen deck. But I'm not sure. That's one we'll have to keep an eye on as well, if we'll have multiple spots where Vexing Bauble could come up. It's very hard to build these decks. There's a lot of cards you kind of want to include and only so many spots. It's a problem I have with a lot of vintage decks. Breach. Oh, I guess that just kills us because we have Force of Will and not Negation, right? They just replay it with Lurrus because our swords didn't resolve. Ugh. Man. Just ripped a Breach off the top, huh? And they also hit... Did they hit Ruby this turn so they have double red to play it as well? Is there like anything I can gain from forcing this? I mean, they can get maybe one less ancestral, maybe. I mean, we're just dead. This top deck kills us. We have to have negation for this, or Lurrus has to be gone. But they had mental misstep covering our swords. They just yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. They just replay, and then they have at least 2 ancestrals. Yeah, this game ended on that draw, unfortunately. Like, we were pretty well covered for gifts. We were well covered for stock up. We just were not covered for one of the 2 breaches. And we were kind of covered if opponent didn't have Ruby, because we could at least make them wait a whole turn. And I guess it doesn't really get that much better because we don't have anything to search for. They still have a land to fetch. They can still fetch to get another card in the yard as well. Yeah. I mean, we've been behind this whole game, so I'm not really surprised. But it is unfortunate. Yeah, there's a fetch. Oh, boy. I'd feel like a little bit better if I could get a Vexing Bauble off of this Saga right now, because then at least I could resolve spells and make it harder for my opponent to freeze kill me. But don't think that matters that much. Yeah, well, I will make a construct. I guess I should have let that go to the yard first. They did keep a braid because they ripped a probe, right? I mean, these cards are just not going to do it, right? They're just never going to do it. Um, I assume we're getting Brain Freeze this turn. There's a very little chance they cast those Ancestrals and didn't draw into stock ups or gifts or anything like that. Okay. I don't need to make them play this out. Kind of an unfortunate set of draws there. So let's see if we can parse together what we think we want to play against this deck. That's not really a combo deck. It's more of a combo. It's more of like a control deck with a combo finish. I feel like Deafening Silence could be something we're interested in. Trap I'm not really actually that big on in this kind of matchup. I think Archon could be something we're interested in. And then obviously these swords are completely dead, so that's an easy board out. So if we took these and we put these here, these ones in, we probably don't have to have access to both of our basics. Probably don't need access to, I guess, Island, because we can always Lorien, or I guess Plains, because we can always Lorien Revealed for Island. Daze is probably not great against my opponent's deck, so a trap could be better. I don't think Consign is particularly good, but I don't think it's bad. And it can always, like, if they're gonna bring in if they bring in Pyroblast, our Riddlers are not very good at consigning. Discoverin plays a Squelcher. I don't know that I care that much. I don't think I want Null Rod here. I think I like these hate pieces a lot, and I'm not really convinced that I want Null Rod. I'm also not really big on negation. I think being able to hit Breach with negation is pretty good, though. Just maybe like these, maybe a Consign could be a second trap. I don't know that trap is like amazing either, but we can hardcast trap in our deck, which is quite nice. So I'm gonna try this. This is my guess. I could definitely see someone boarding in Null Rods, but If they have a braid, yeah, but I'm never gonna keep in a swords, right? So I guess trap helps cover that a little bit. I don't know that this hand is amazing or anything, but I'm gonna give it a shot. I do like Deafening Silence against them, but Chain of Vapor is the one catch-all answer. One of the nice things is that our deck is a deck that is playing creature threats, so we can play a creature, and their one spell can be a counter spell, and our one non-creature spell can be a counter spell as well. So that's kind of one of the nicer parts here too. Unfortunately, did not rip the mana I was looking for there. They have They have Ancestral. Yeah. All right. I mean, Vintage Blue Mirrors are Vintage Blue Mirrors. Now they have a million mana. On color Sapphire Tolarian. We missed our land drop again. Do we want to Time Walk for our land drop or Riddler for our land drop? I feel like Time Walk has more value later when we have things on board. I'm just getting drained. All right, well. The good news is they can only cast one spell. The bad news is they're getting 5 mana. I don't really know. Like I don't think our hand can beat this Ancestral Double Mox Drain to Academy draw, right? Like no, I think Standstill and Remora are both pretty bad cards now. Especially Remora with so many creature decks. I think the one hate piece that Blue White Prison / Control has that is amazing is Stony Silence. I mean, we're just dead here. Yeah, I would imagine this matchup in a similar way that Lurrus PO could be a hard matchup. This matchup is also probably challenging. Well, their one spell is stock up and they'll buy Lurrus at least. They don't have... I guess if they have a fetch, they can play Lurrus because it's their one creature spell. Narset looks kind of embarrassing these days, especially when decks are not really running draw spells that are not Ancestral Recall. All right, so my opponent has that, so they can buy Lurrus and play Lurrus here. I have a Caracas, obviously, so maybe not the strongest play, but I also don't have mana, so they can instead just hold open force if they think it's not worth it. All I really want to see here is land drops. We have some cards that I think are quite reasonable against our opponent's deck, but we just are really far behind after Ancestral Double Mox Academy. Well, they pitched Brain Freeze to hand side. Like Narset, like the thing that Narset does is finds force is a quite a common reason to be playing Narset. Oh, there's like kind of no reason to ponder here because I can't play a spell that I can't play these cards. Is this reasonable enough to keep though? If I take a force, then next turn I play a Soul Ring. I mean, we can play it a little slow. I mean, no land is super bad. Well, the problem is, I think, like, the Gifts Breach deck is quite good against blue decks, but it is not very good against non-blue decks, which is my issue with the deck. You are giving up so much against the field to be good, to be as good against blue decks as you are, that it's quite... And I also think it's, like, very susceptible to Pyroblast and Flusterstorm. Very easy to play around. So, you know, those are the downsides. I guess technically if our White Plume resolves, it gets us a land. So I think we're okay with this. And our Force will protect us on their turn from like a bad spell happening. But they can like end step a gifts on our turn, so. I think I'm just supposed to let this gifts resolve though. I mean, I don't think 5 mana matters at all, like comparison. Like if it was a 3 mana spell, it would have done the exact same thing, right? Like I don't think it's a big deal. Like generally, you just shouldn't be trying to jam spells into open drain. And it's kind of bad because we just like don't have any Flusterstorms in our 75. But again, you're not really supposed to metagame for this deck because it's a very small meta share, like a 3% deck, 4% deck. Oh, I like that. That's cute. Saga Frog, Demonic Lotus. I'm just gonna put. Wow, I like that. It's cool. Saga and Frog into the yard. Yep. It's kind of cool because they don't have the black mana for it right now, but they could theoretically go like Lurrus and play Frog, and they're not triggering Deafening Silence. I didn't realize they had a Frog in their sideboard. It's kind of cool. It's a nice pivot on me. So that's their only spell for turn is going to be Lotus. Oh, I guess they can play Lurrus, but they can't protect their Lurrus now. So if they play Lurrus, I'm just forcing it. I don't know if they realize that. Playing Lotus first here was a big mistake, because if they play Lurrus first, they can protect their Lurrus at least. Obviously, they can't like immediately play. I mean, I guess that doesn't help because there's a Caracas. It's tough. It's not easy. They might just wait a whole turn now because they realize. I think they realized that they played Lotus first. Yeah. I don't know that that's good for me, but sounds like a problem. Yeah, I'm gonna advance this game here. If they want to hardcast Force or Drain, I guess we have to live with that. We don't have to live with that. I could wait a turn here, but I think I have to force their Lurrus, so I don't know. It's tough. I kind of am between a rock and a hard place, and I have such a mana disadvantage that it's just really tough. I kind of have to jam into spots I don't really want to jam into. Ah. So they just drew the chain. So, I mean, I can't do anything. I don't, I've already used my spell. Dress down. Wow, we are just getting fucking bullied here. It is not remotely close. Wow, that was like one of the worst possible sequences that I can even come up with. Blank my spell, draw a card, uncounterable, bounce my Deafening Silence because I played a Soul Ring. Yeah. Once we put this Force on the stack and they counter it, we can scoop it up. This was kind of a bullying situation. Maybe I could see like the you know, the argument that maybe I just mulligan this hand. Totally reasonable, but I kind of wanted to see how it would play out. Unfortunately, we didn't get a very fair set of cards to play up against. I assume that DT is just for like a mana drain or something. We don't have remotely enough counter spells to live through here. Even if I counter this, they can go Lurrus Breach kill me? Okay. Yeah, all right. That was not really very close, but I think that would be one of our hard matchups. That deck and Lurrus PO for similar reasons. All right, here we are, round 2 now. We might have also hit another tough matchup. I think our opponent might be on Beanstalk Riddler, which could go over the top of us, or we could just rip our hand of all power, and then maybe nothing matters. Keep. So that's like kind of the variance inherent in vintages. If you're playing a blue deck, sometimes you have Ancestral Time Walk, Moxen Academy. And sometimes you're playing like Land Deafening Silence. So I am interested to see how we want to play out this hand. I'm kind of liking an idea of Mana Crypt Academy Time Walk, untap. We don't have the mana. Like if we had another artifact, we could go like Lavinia Ancestral instead of having to use Force. We might just end up pitching Lavinia to Force. I think I like Time Walking though, and getting us like a mana advantage. Though we don't have like the greatest ways to capitalize on a mana advantage at the moment, but we have lots of good ones in our deck to draw to. So opponent kept and is here. So yeah, I think I like Academy Time Walk. We'll see how it goes. We have to question whether we want to even play Ancestral on our turn at all because of negation. I think I like just playing Lavinia on turn 1 the most. We can get to Ancestral later. Force pitching consign. If they're beans. Seeing consign force no Lurrus makes me think we're on like a pseudo mirror. I'm trying to figure out if I want to actually fight over this. Let me go look at their last beans list. I already see how many swords they have. 4 Riddler, 4 Wistfulness, 1 Teferi, 3 Consign, 3 Storts, 4 Beanstalk, 1 Misdirection, 1 Commandeer. Okay. I'm gonna let this go. I think that's a good enough trade. And we can regroup and they're on no wastelands, right? No wastelands. Like we probably want to negate a Beanstalk there, which is kind of an awful place to be in life, but how many negations? 2 trap, 2 negation. Okay. And okay. I'm gonna go to their turn and cast Ancestral. Oh man, this Plains draw is really bad. If this draw was an island or a Mox, we could actually hard cast. I guess we could just wait. We can wait. I'm patient, right? We also haven't lost any mana crypt flips. I can be patient. Surely. I won 3 mana crypt flips. It's crazy. Those are interesting. Those are very interesting. Kind of really like White Plume here. And Mox underneath if it gets countered, so that next turn we'll have that double blue that we're looking for. What do they have that can counter this? Just Force of Will, right? They're gonna swords it, but that's fine. I like this. They didn't swords on my turn. Interesting. What is that? Oh! Hello? Ancestral recall target me. I don't think I care. I have 3 swords in my deck. I'll just force it. I think I just want like a bunch of hard cast negations. I think I'm just gonna try to ride this to victory, right? I just won like all my crypt flips this game. How many blue mana do I have? 3. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana total. I think this is just warping a Riddler. But not bad. Not bad. I like this spot. I like this spot a lot. That was cool. All right, so we're looking at like a Murktide Beans deck. Bant Beans. Don't know how good any of our stuff really is here. I don't actually think this is a deck we actually care about Deafening Silence against. I guess technically speaking, it can kind of make our spells uncounterable. Not Archon, though. Archon doesn't really help us because... What's in our deck? We have negations, which I don't actually mind because I don't want Bean to resolve. We don't have like any like March of the Otherworldly Lights or Prismatic Endings or anything that can kill artifacts or enchantments. It's kind of interesting, actually. Like almost no artifact hate, really. It's kind of... Oh, there's one Murktide region, I see. It's kind of funny that these Archon is actually unkillable against our opponent. Oh, they actually have a Dismember in their sideboard. Never mind. That's good. That's a really nice inclusion from them because they would actually not be able to kill this, but they do have a Murktide, so technically they have a blocker. Oh, you're right. The Wistfulness kills exiles artifact. Well, I'm saying for us. I'm saying we don't have that. They have it with Wistfulness. We don't have like anything like that. I don't know. They have any Wastelands? They don't have any Wastelands. They have ETB creatures. Trying to figure out if we want like a 4 swords. I feel like it's better than a Daze. Like Daze has gotta be garbage here, right? I don't like hate the idea of having some traps, but they also have consigns. They can consign our initiative triggers. Kind of interesting dynamic. I think I'm just gonna run it back like this. If we consider we might want traps later, we can figure that out. Well, having no effects that kill artifacts, enchantments is not a thing that only matters for beans, right? Like, surely there are some other decks in Vintage that that matters for, right? Bet you didn't think a Wasteland was coming. Oh god, they really didn't think a Wasteland was coming. Well, that's quite good for us. We actually can shuffle this Ponder with Lorien revealed, which is very nice. Sapphire Swords Riddler. I think I'm interested in getting a Sapphire and getting ahead on mana, and then we can decide if we want to shuffle away second Riddler. Though we could shuffle away second Riddler. Oh, we should maybe play around Mindbreak Trap. We should play around Mindbreak Trap. I'm gonna just keep the second Riddler. And then what was the third card? It was the swords. So let's fetch around the swords. Yeah, I think I want both of those. We got Saga waiting for us. That was our second spell. I think there's like no reason to play into a Mindbreak Trap when we don't have to. Because they have Mindbreak Traps in their main. Here, I like... What was the third card down? I already forgot. Tundra, that's fine. I think I just like casting Lorien Reveal to get... I guess this gets negated, so maybe just casting Riddler is better. But oh, we got Force of Will. That's quite good for us. We have so much value happening. I think I was maybe just supposed to cast Riddler because it couldn't get negated there. So how much it costs? It costs 2 here to make that. So I'm in for just a warp. They want to force this. I just don't care, right? Force pitching trap. Look at that, chat. We played around trap. Man, sometimes I'm okay at this game. Exclamation mark MBT. When did they consign? They picked up the hand size. They milled over swords. And then they're out. Yeah. I mean, that's like the power of Wasteland, right? And that's kind of one of the reasons I question whether or not we want to add some more Wastelands here instead of maybe some of the weaker blue spells. It's tough, right? It's really tough to say, oh, yeah, I want to have 2 out of 5 Wasteland effects. And I understand why. It's because it's hard to balance all of these aspects of your deck, but I don't know, man. I think Wasteland's a pretty broken Magic card. All right, here we go. We're back up against potatoes, so another matchup versus beans. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I don't know that holding in a consign on turn 1 is particularly useful for us. Where'd their deck go? I can't find it. New tab. I think I just want to cast Ponder. Negation, Tundra, White Plume. Okay. Those are not bad cards to draw. The one problem with casting Ponder here is I don't actually have a fetch land to shuffle, but... Okay. My opponent just noticed we're playing again. Well, I immediately got punished for not holding up consign. It do be like that sometimes. Oh boy, that's not good. It was really funny. There was a spot in the last video where I'm like, I'm gonna wasteland. I'm not gonna wasteland because the only way my opponent can make a Saga token is if they have Tolarian Academy. Slam Tolarian Academy. I feel like that happened like twice in the video. Blue, green, hardcast, Riddler. Yep. That's bad. Do I want to blank a draw? No. We don't have a Mystic Sanctuary. We're cooking over there. Do I want to play a White Plume Adventurer? Not really. Not really. The one thing I can do is I can forego a second Saga token and brainstorm with the Saga fetch on the stack, which could be helpful. We have 5 turns, so it's not a super fast clock, but it's quite fast. I really got punished for not holding up consign, but I really didn't want to hold up consign. Oh, well, the clock got faster. 1 less turn. I'm getting my butt kicked. Gosh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know what's worth actually countering. I guess this. Okay, you can. I mean, getting a force away is quite reasonable for us, so can't say that was bad for us, but it certainly wasn't good for us. Yeah, Wistfulness would have kicked our ass, huh? Just killed Saga on the spot. That would have been brutal. We've been definitely far behind in this one. Okay, I'm gonna forego this Saga, and I'm gonna brainstorm to use it as a shuffle. That is not good. I mean, surely I'm not wastelanding them. I think we should get rid of the lands, because the Mox can at least pump the construct. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, which is not enough to Riddler and White Plume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. I guess if my White Plume resolves, I get a basic. It'd be 8. I'm running directly into Mindbreak Trap, but what am I gonna do, man? I have to play my game out, right? I can hard cast Negation off of Lotus and then get the land and play with Warped Riddler for 2 cards. And maybe I just warp a Riddler for 2 cards anyways, because I have hard cast Negation. That was a pretty good turn. You know, all things considered, that was a pretty good turn. Those weren't great. Those were not my favorite. I shuffled with Urza Saga. That was the whole point. That was like the whole point. Beans. I don't think we can let beans resolve. I don't think we're winning this game, but at least we had a good turn. They get to fetch a basic. And then that's a great draw because it's a great draw. Swords. Oh, I fucked up. I can't wasteland there. I can't wasteland there if I want to play Quantum Riddler too. You have to accept that they have a mana open. Yep, I mean. that is not good. It's a close game though. If they let my contract hit, I win. So they have to kind of have a removal or another creature. I really wish I had played a Quantum Riddler that turn and not a Wasteland. Not great. Not great. Are they attacking? Not attacking. That's super good for me. Okay. Trap. Probe. Yeah. I think I pay the mana for it. They have Commandeer Force, Mystic Sanctuary that they gush so they can put the swords back. Trying to find a mock so I can make this a 6/6. Ah. I see. What do I do with that information? Did I tap badly here? No. I think I play Lavinia this turn and draw Ancestral next turn, and my opponent will play a land, put like a Swords on top, and have Hardcast Force. And then we can bait a Force on Ancestral and then resolve Quantum Riddler. Oh, they just forced it. Okay. I mean, I have an Ancestral and a Quantum Riddler coming, so I'm a happy guy. They're at 3. I can't attack. They can't attack. I have Archives coming. They can Mystic Sanctuary the swords back to the top, but they don't have a draw spell right now. They chose not to Mystic Sanctuary. So that means they drew a 5-drop here. That means they drew a Wistfulness here. Oh no, there's no way, bro. Oh. Oh my god. Well, that was a good draw. Yeah. Quantum Riddler first to draw 2. They drew Force blue card? There's no There's no way. There's no way this wistfulness is the GOAT. Oh. That's incredible. Five drops are too good, man. Who let 5 drops happen? I still don't think this stays as good. Maybe on the play, it's fine. Eh. No problem. Man, this hand is quite weak, but I don't think you're allowed to... Maybe you can put this back. I don't know. In our fair mirror, are you putting this... Are you mulliganing his hand? Got him. Well then. Those cards would be quite reasonable if I could cast them. We'll draw Time Walk now and Ancestral next turn and try to resolve Ancestral. Considering my Tolarian Academy does not make mana and my Caracas does not make blue mana, and I know my next card is not good. Beans. I can't let Beans resolve. I mean, Narset's really good against Beans. I can't let Beans resolve here. Narset's really good against my opponent's deck, actually. Just a stupid Tolarian Academy. I think I just jam this here and try to advance my game plan. I don't really think I'm waiting or doing anything like that. They had force. They didn't use it on Beans. Pitching trap. And we know we're drawing a dead card next turn. I think we're just lost. That's unfortunate. Yeah, all right. Maybe I should mulligan my hand with my basic plains and land that makes no mana. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Watch them just like have another Beans here. That's fine. We don't have any hits here, though, unfortunately. All right, well, Moxen and lands are good. Might be too late, though. Another one. Oh, Time Walk, sure. No land? No land. Okay. Hate a land. Mystic Sanctuary back. Time Walk. I assume. Yeah. They could Riddler into it. Or they could dig into it. Sure. Sure. Oh, boy. This has been a hard league, I have to say. I don't think we've matched up against the best matchups for us. Into a Beanstalk instead of a Time Walk? Yeah. That's sick. That's so bad. Oh, okay. I think it's partially my fault though. Like I guess I just can't keep hands like that, even if they do ponder into Ancestral. And we're certainly dead from this spot now. Narset's good until they play a 4/6 flyer. Well, one turn too late, as per usual. I guess technically we want to play this White Plume so that we can have another... I guess they both give us another land. I don't know why I'm doing that then. Probably supposed to hit the plains because I can Lorien for the island, technically. Swords, that's why. Okay. we're just gonna get buried by this up the beanstalk though. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's what I said. They went way over the top of us this time. We weren't able to cheese a win with Wasteland. And I think I kept a little bit underpowered hands. Maybe I would mulligan again if I had a chance. All right, here we go. On to round 4 now. Hopefully we can get something different. I've been talking a lot with chat in between rounds, and we think that maybe I'm just like not supposed to keep hands that are like this with a ponder because we need to be looking for something a little bit more powerful. So I will try to be a little bit more aggressive with my mulliganing now. That's what I get for being more aggressive with my mulliganing. 2 pair. But this hand is quite good. So it, you know, maybe that's the missing ingredient here is I'm supposed to be doing more stuff like that, going down to 5 cards and just hoping and praying because like we don't have any interaction here, but we at least have a clock. So maybe that's something I'm missing. I'm not sure. I think I'm just going to go put an island away, put a ponder away, and go for max power. All right. Let's see what opponents got for us. They F6 through their multi-6 there, so... Workshop. Hopefully it's Sphere Shops and not Raker or Jewel, because I don't think we're going to win a Raker or Jewel match with the start, but we could win a Sphere Shops matchup with the start. That's a Grim Monolith, so it's Raker or Jewel. And that's a Flesh Raker. See, like, this is why I want to have a Force in my opener, you know? Why am I playing an initiative creature with nothing else? What? Okay. It's quite a lot of turn 1 mana. Ah, yeah. Okay. Sensei Stomp. Sin Unending Cataclysm. Okay. I don't think we're getting it to turn 2 this game, chat. I would have been better off if I kept my opening hand of Island, Force, Mantle, Misstep. So, I'm not sure. This is why I don't like calling the mono-white initiative deck mono-white initiative, because playing an initiative creature on turn 1 in Vintage is not a great play, usually. The initiative part of the deck is important, but the real powerhouse of the mono-white initiative deck is Archon of Emeria. All my opponent needs to do is play like another artifact, and then this Tezzeret just like murders me. I'll probably have to play the Seasoned Engineer to make this White Plume unblockable so that I can kill the Tezzeret. So that my opponent can't find a second Sensei's Divining Top. They should probably like draw with this Sensei's Top no matter what, so. This is a 1 ring. Oh. Okay, cool. So we're dead because we can't play a Seasoned Engineer. Brilliant. Yep. I mean, this is why you don't just play an initiative creature and pray. It's not good enough for Vintage. The good news is we have plenty of cards here. Null Rods, Traps, Archon of Emerias, and Swords. I don't know about Deafening Silence. Theoretically, you could play Deafening Silence. It's so hard, man. I want every card against Raker. Like, how am I supposed to... how am I supposed to balance, like, what I want against Raker? Oh, God. I have no idea. I mean, I think Trap and Null Rod and Archon and Swords are the best, and then Deafening Silence maybe is okay. But what's bad? Initiative creatures are kind of bad. Because you can't really attack with them. I don't know. Surely I could cut an island. A plains. I don't know. An island? No, I have a Caracas. A plains, I guess. That's not the key. That just makes me less likely to draw the cards that I want. Stop suggesting Yorion. It's not good in Vintage. I think I feel like I want Deafening Silence. So maybe I'll take out Cruise and Ponder. Perfect. Send it. I mean, it was good in Modern. Seems fine. All right. Well, I have Force, Daze, Trap, and then I untap and play a Null Rod, so should cover a good amount of stuff. Just like sideboard into a completely different blue-white control deck versus Raker, which I guess makes sense, right? That's what we were doing in our Riddler leagues. We were playing Stony Silence controlled. I don't think I'm supposed to daze this. I'll just let it happen, and then we'll have Trap at the end. Now we have Trap in the middle. Opponents had some pretty crazy mana hands. Yeah, I'm okay with like hitting a Trap on a Crawler because it's cashing in on a good one right now, and Crawler's one of their better cards against Null Run. Tezzeret. That one I'm not as sure about because our plan is to Null Rod, and one of their ways through Null Rod is to like play a bunch of zeros into Tezzeret and make him a 7. And ulti. I think I'm just gonna force it. I don't want to daze. Obviously they have a Mox Pearl, but I don't want to daze because I want to play a Null Rod next turn. Sensei Stop, last card? Yeah. Okay. I mean, Mindbreak Trap is so good in Vintage right now. That's a great draw, by the way. Tundra is going to let me make Construct tokens. The worst case scenario here is my opponent planned for Null Rod, and they go Workshop Masticore, and we wish we had Force. That's certainly the biggest punish for our line. They don't have a land at all. And now we're making constructs. We do have 4 swords in our deck as answers to Masticore, so... Oh, Ancient Tomb. Is there a Masticore? Jeez, okay. Oh, that was the punish to my line, so... We probably are not... I have a negation, I guess, so... I guess I can just make another construct then. I think I'm supposed to get Black Lotus. So I would have loved to see how this game played out if I had just not countered Tezzeret, which I kind of think, looking back, maybe I just got too scared. Well, Null Rod only dies if they have a 2-drop in their hand, which they don't. So are they going to kill constructs? They're going to kill constructs. Yeah, I think I just made a mistake and played badly and should just have let the Tezzeret happen and played for countering Masticore. But they had to rip an Ancient Tomb or a Workshop off the top to even play Masticore, which was kind of unlucky, so... Yeah, I guess Tez gets Bobble and then my Force is dead, so maybe it's fine. You would have used Daze on the Lotus. I think I would never, ever, 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 ever make that play because I'm just looking to trap that turn anyways, and I want to play Null Rod on turn 2 every time. So, yeah, I would never, ever make that play. This Ancient Tomb draw was quite annoying. Sensei's top. Kills my construct. I mean, I'm not even racing this, right? Until I draw swords. We have Ponders and Riddlers, but... I mean, I can't even draw 2. Maybe next turn I could technically draw 2 if I draw a land, so... Yeah, I think it's tough. It's tough. Man. I don't know. We kind of like did the thing we wanted to do and it just didn't really work. And we got strip mined? Okay. We want to see land into Riddler, draw 2 swords here. And we can win. We will win this game if we swords this Masticore. So... Okay. We're going to let them have to pitch a card to this Masticore first. Play 4 swords for a reason. Because if their last card's Masticore, we don't want them to keep Masticore. All right, Masticore's answered. They have no cards in hand. We have 2 Null Rods, 3 mana against Raker. And a Riddler if we draw lands. They just rip a Masticore? All right, sure. We rip the swords. Back and forth, baby. Is playing Deathwing Titans even good when I have Null Rods in play? I feel like it's gonna hurt me more to play Deafening Silence at this point, so... I mean, like, versus the large section of their draws, yes, we want a Null Rod on turn 2. Like, the fact that you have hindsight on what happened after the Null Rod resolved doesn't mean you're right. Like, what are you talking about, Log? Be serious, bro. There's just no way in hell you're ever dazing that Lotus. It's a horrible play. I was being, you know, kind of diplomatic the first time. Losing a land drop there to daze a Lotus is just not good. Anyways, let's move on from that. I'm just so surprised that Rafael is saying these things. Aren't you supposed to be the control player? That's a great draw. Consign. I think we're covered here. We should win this game. It just might take a little while. City Karn? No, they already pitched Karn. Tezzeret must be. Oh, Raker. Yeah, that makes sense too. This is kind of the downside of playing our full Mox and mana base with null rods in the board, but it is important, like on the play, to play turn 1 null rod a lot of the time. So I'm not gonna like cut a lot of Mox in when I play null rod. So we have a lot of lands in our deck. Yeah, our deck has a lot of lands. Could use that brainstorm. I don't want to play out the Deafening Silence, so also we'd have to get rid of we'd have to get rid of one more card, so it doesn't really help. That's an interesting card here. A lot better than a Hull Breacher here. I guess Hull Breacher's a 2-turn clock, maybe. I think I just want to find a swords off this, so I have negation swords covering everything. Hit the brainstorm. Gonna wait till after I Narset one more time and have another draw. No. We never will be able to pitch like enough cards to draw 2 off Riddler, so I want to hold them for the brainstorm that I'm looking for. What? Like I don't want to play Deafening Silence. It's gonna hurt me more than it's gonna hurt my opponent, right? Let's brainstorm now so we can have access to double force. I mean, now we'll play them out because we're gonna draw Academy. I don't think I have to force this. Oh, I'm at 3. I do have to force that. I'm actually like pretty weak right now. I didn't realize I was so low. What am I dying to? I just died to Masticore attacks. So we can shuffle away the Deafening Silence. Let's ponder for another force. Okay, sweet. All right, that worked out pretty well. I should have done that in the other order. This thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. Okay, sweet. How much mana do I have? 5, 7. Damn. Maybe I shouldn't have played that. Well, I mean, it depends on how many forces I use. If I don't use any forces, I'm not drawing 2, right? So that's true. I can Caracas back my Lavinia and still have double counter, so I guess it doesn't technically matter. But I could have had hard cast, right? Well, I think that plan worked. It was a little dicey for a second, but it seemed to work. Give it another go. Am I missing something, chat? Did I have like enough to get all the way down to draw 2 with Riddler? I feel like I didn't without playing Deafening Silence. Like later or something? After it stopped mattering? Or this turn? Okay, I don't care about that turn, yeah. That turn I was not optimizing. I was just playing my shit out and passing with force. Yeah, before I was not doing that very specifically, so because I don't want to play Deafening Silence. I feel like Deafening Silence was really bad for me. Maybe Deafening Silence is just bad for me in general, but it does stop getting Raker comboed, so it's kind of hard to say. I mean, I think I still want them like only playing one spell a turn, right? Like, I think so. I don't know. It's not my deck. I would think so. It's not like they can only kill you on turn one. It's not like they only play 2 spells a turn on turn one. They're a one ring Sensei's Top combo deck. What are you guys crazy? Like, what am I crazy? I really don't think it's that big a deal. Like it stops my opponent's deck from functioning. I don't know. Narset is a completely uncastable Magic card, unfortunately. Like, we don't care about casting 2 spells. I think Ponder is like basically a useless card. Oh, this went well. I don't know. It's not. It's like splitting hairs. Like, sure, 1 Ponder, 1 Deafening Silence. That's fine. I'm not gonna. It's not bad. It's clearly not bad. I just don't know that matters too much. I guess I'm wastelanding, right? What card can I even draw to like get my draw 2 here? Another Ancient Tomb. I feel like we're so far behind. Like, is there like any way I'm not? I don't get to force here. Like, I'm gonna force here like every single time. So now I need to draw. I mean, if I draw Deafening Silence now and not Ponder, then yeah. I mean, it's pretty bad. Hopefully they still have some Flesh Rakers left in their hand that I can swords here. Oh, they lost 2 flips in a row. That's my way out here. I had to use all my spells to live. So yeah, maybe Ponder better than just Silence on the draw. Sure. I mean, I still think that like having Deafening Silence in play is good against my opponent's deck even later in the game. Like, it's not like oops all spells or something where you have to have it on turn 1. This is a lot of damage. Ancient Tomb, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault. What are they gonna get? Are they gonna get like a Stonecoil Serpent and try to make a 4/4 and like clock me? Sensei's Top. Okay. I mean, I think I'm fine in this spot. I'm gonna hope they die to their own Jesus Christ. Die to their own cards. Interesting. Deafening Silence, better than Ponder here? What do you think, chat? I don't think I'm supposed to wasteland this Ancient Tomb. Or, wait, what is this? They're spinning? I kind of want to get my Archon in play. And I mean, anytime they use this Ancient Tomb is good for me. I mean, the Deafening Silence looks real good here. Like, to be, like, I don't think the Deafening Silence was amazing if it was, like, my first draw there. But it wasn't even bad, because, like, the way my opponent gets out of this game is top combo. I don't know. least slightly vindicated. 2 turns? Keystar, have you ever played? Have you ever watched me play Magic? If my opponent needs to lose a mana crypt flip, it means they're living at least another 5 turns. I think it's like that's like Brian. I think it's good in like most games. That's why I put it in my deck. Like my opponent's like it's quite good against my opponent's deck. It's this is the fucking deck. Like this is what the deck does. I don't think Wastelanding here is very good. They might just made a mistake. I just don't understand like how you play against Raker Forge or Raker Shops and think Deafening Silence is not a good card against what they're trying to accomplish. I think having these both in play means like we won't ever die to this Raker, so I don't think swording the Raker makes any sense. Told you they're never losing another mana crypt flip for the whole game. They lost the first 2, so we're happy already. Got our 50-50. There are just like so few cards in their deck that can powerfully interact with Deafening Silence. Just Masticores. Glad I didn't strip mine. The strip mining would have been really bad for me here. And not really bad. Like I'm still gonna win, but certainly worse. I'm surprised. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in chat tonight. My powerful wizards are making odd calls. Tapped Wasteland. Fucking Archon of Emiria, man. What a magic card. What a magic card. I mean, I guess I'll just strip mine them. Why not? 2 bottles of wine? All right. Okay. I don't know. They're not like that bad plays. It's just all right, well, high quality wine. I didn't assume it wasn't high quality wine. Oil white wine, I see. All right, Mana Crypt. Okay. Well, that's a pretty nice turnaround for that set compared to game 1 where we played an initiative creature and died on turn 1. Welcome to 5th and final round with our blue-white initiative deck. So far, I think we've displayed some of the qualities that you get with playing this deck, and we've also explored some of the downsides. Very cool deck, though. Jeez, some of these hands today have been not very good. Some of these hands have been very good. The deck giveth and the deck taketh. Some of our hands have been incredible and some of our hands have not, and the disparity between the incredible ones and the not incredible ones is quite high. I want to keep Brainstorm to pitch to negation to Ancestral on their turn. Am I too greedy to put a land back here? Is it like super greedy of me? It's kind of greedy. Nah, man, I'm in. I have a negation protecting Ancestral. I can fetch a basic island on their upkeep. I have so much mana in my deck, though. Hashtag. Like, my deck is all mana. So much mana. What are we playing against? Oaf? Doomsday? Doomsday. Okay. Swords to Plowshares, once again, coming up against the... We've played against 2 beans over the top deck and 2 decks that have no main deck creatures for the most part. I feel like it's been a rough time to be a Justin in this league. That's a good draw. Just gonna cycle this Riddler, try to make sure we can get to White Plume. I like Arcane against Doomsday for what it's worth. We can get to White Plume and play a land. I did get rid of a land. We don't talk about it. All right, they do have a 7-card hand though, and we only have 3 counter spells. I've seen Doomsday kill through that. That seems like quite an easy misstep target. Okay, we live to fight another day. We missed on our land. Narset's a good draw, though. Let's ponder. Tundra, Jet, another White Plume. That's unfortunate. I really don't want to keep these cards. I guess... Man, if we had draw these cards in the other order, I think I'd be a very happy guy. I feel like I'm going to have to... That's a pretty nice daze. Negation? One of negation backup? All right. We're getting Doomsdayed. They didn't have the land, it looks like, or they would have probably just slammed Doomsday with Street Wraith here. Okay, tap land. That gives us time. We can deploy a Narset here. Let's play around days. Narset resolving here would be a big win. Narset did not resolve. We know we have a White Plume underneath. Just gonna hold this for their turn to counter Doomsday. Unfortunately, I think we are going to be just a little bit out of resources here after they resolve their Ancestral, sadly. You have another force? Pitching Oracle? Okay. Really hard to stop Doomsday if you have no clock. Or they resolve Ancestral Recall. I don't know that our Archon Deafening Silence stuff is that good against Doomsday. It's okay, but you can build Doomsday piles that play a slower game, and it's not like we can attack them with our full Wastelands. We only have the 2 Wastelands, which is quite unfortunate for this matchup as well. I really do feel that... we hit not a pretty matchup spread for this deck. Oh god, they have Gush into instant win as well? Wow. That's impressive. They went for the Gush Ancestral pile, which puts them to 0 cards, so Swords doesn't even do anything. Okay, so what do we want? We want Mindbreak Trap. Kind of surprised we don't have any Mindbreak Traps in the main. We want Archon, probably. And Deafening Silence, probably. And probably not Swords. And probably not Planes. And probably not Seasoned Dungeoneer. Oh god, that's not enough. And probably not another White Plume, I guess. Something like that. Okay, one more chance. Another ancestral hand. Okay. So what is the, why would we want to keep planes over Krakus? Because we can find it. Mentor's probably worse. Yeah, maybe. My opponent could board in Shieldred though, so I would keep Krakus over planes usually. Just gonna jam a Archon with this. And then we'll wait till they play like a cantrip on their turn, and then we'll resolve Ancestral. Probe. Perfect. Now they can't cast another spell this turn, and I can just resolve Ancestral Recall. Thank you, Archon of Emeria, for your service. Solid hand. Another land was not exactly advised. Okay. Mental Misstep here is a little awkward. I don't exactly know what I want to counter with it. Maybe a removal spell on Archon, but I don't know what kind of removal spells they play. They could play Chain or something. Here I can fetch away. Force. I think I like just putting a dude on the stack. No force. Okay. I mean, I got a clock and I got counter magic and I have an Archon, so I don't expect to cast another spell on my turn for the rest of the game. I think I want to hold the misstep for a removal spell on Archon. Like Brainstorm is totally a reasonable hit though. I would not be upset if someone went for Brainstorm there. So now I can't really cast another spell because if they have like end of turn Chain of Vapor, I want to be able to counter it. So I think at this point, I'm just taking my 6-point clock and putting it to their face every turn and hoping that should be good enough. Because like they can't cast a removal spell without me countering it, right? So sweet. This game was sick. End of turn Chain, I counter. And they have a counter on their turn. Yeah, all right. I played this game. I like how I played this game. I like it. That was cool. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll go White Plume over Mentor. I can see the vision there. Yeah, I think I'll keep Caracas over Plains because of possible Shieldreds. Okay. That was basically just how we drew it up. This hand has Probe, Negation, Off-Color, Moxen. Ugh, I don't think so. This one has Force Ancestral. I want to keep it. It's like super risky. I just like don't really see myself going to 5 and battling versus Doomsday. Maybe that's silly. I don't know. But they can play a slow game, so it has some downsides here. I don't know. I'm not saying this was a correct call. I'm just saying I kind of like my chances more with Force Ancestral than mulling to 5. All right, we're playing the game. Let's go. Don't think I'm allowed to play Ponder there. I think I want to see if I can get a Mind Break Trap stack and resolve an Ancestral on it. I can beat Flusterstorm as well, so... Nice. We only have 2 cards left. We have a full grip now. That was a kind of a crazy draw because we can play White Plume and get an island and Time Walk. I think we want a tempo. We have some draw spells in our hand. I'm going to forge onto this White Plume here. Love that draw. I guess I will... I want to see the most cards to get to a force, right? So... I should warp a Riddler and then Ponder. Though I could hit Archon or Deafening Silence, so maybe I should just lead Ponder. Holy shit. So what if I take Black Lotus and then warp a Riddler or cast a Riddler and draw a Consign and Deafening Silence? What the fuck? Okay. And they die next turn, and I have a Deafening Silence and a Consign to Memory, so I can't even die to, like, Oracle Consult. Oh my god! What was that turn? Wow. Okay. New Mox season point? So we squeaked out a nice little new Mox season points. I squeaked out a nice little 3-2. And like I said, I feel like this was quite a hard set of matches. I don't think we're gonna be like favored versus a Beans deck or a Breach deck. The Raker matchup, you know, I think we got kind of crushed in the game 1, but we were able to pull back with a nice sideboarding tech in game 2 and 3. And I was able to, I mean, I got really lucky, right? I drew the Swords of Plowshares for the Masticore, but it happens. That's why we have them. And then the Doomsday matchup did seem pretty reasonable, honestly. Like, we have a lot of counter magic and some pretty nice ways to clock. So, pretty impressive. I think all of the things I thought going into this league are still true. I still question this daze a little bit. I still question only 2 wasteland effects. I don't know that this Narset is that very castable. These Lavinias and Narsets are interestingly hard to cast. No, cube didn't reset. I just used all my cube points. Oh, but you can't earn new ones of the other ones. So yeah. So um I think Riddler looks really good. Okay. I don't know, let me know in the YouTube comments and in Twitch chat if you disagree, but every time I play with Riddler, I am extremely impressed. It is a fast clock, a force pitch. It plays well early, it plays well late, it plays well after force. Um I have just been really impressed with Riddler. And obviously, the cost of playing Riddler is high because you can't play Lurrus. But I believe these decks are pretty good against like fair Lurrus decks, like Frog decks. So if you're good against Frog and you can tech into cards that are good against these combo decks, then I really think that these Riddler control decks have a place in Vintage that is more than the spot it's currently being played in every so often. And so I really do want to thank Marco, It's True Hero, for making this deck and putting it back in the spotlight, because I want to see more people experimenting and iterating with Riddler big blue control decks that are not Lurrus based, because I don't think there's a good enough reason that this deck isn't both strong and playable into Vintage. Every time we've played Riddler in a challenge, we've had great finishes, including top eights. So, and that deck, the decks that I built with Riddler are much different than this deck. This deck is, using its big blue mana base and playing White Plume Adventures. And the Riddler decks I were using is very low Moxen, Stony Silence main kind of deal. So lots of different ways that you can approach this kind of deck. And I hope that people continue to do so. More Vintage content on this YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll see you then.